Hi, this is Paul Rudwick with 5-Minute Modeling. Today, I'm going to talk to you about SSA and setting up a basic basin model. So, let's look at a quick overview. What are we going to try and do today? Let's look at a normal subbasin with some amount of rainfall on it. Typically, you do a 24-hour storm event and figure out how much water and volume and flow rate is running off. Now, in many hydrology programs, this is pretty darn quick and easy to figure out. However, in SSA, it takes a few minutes to set up a basin model. It can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to walk you through it. Here we go. Project options. Start over in the left-hand column and just kind of work your way down. That's a good way to start. Project options. I'm going to open this up. Now, I typically like to run SES TR55. Now, I work in the Pacific Northwest, so I can often use Santa Barbara Urban Hydrograph. However, TR55 gives you slightly higher runoff values, which is a little bit more conservative. You can also, when you pick your time and concentration method, you can pick SES TR55 or user-defined is what I prefer. It's a little bit faster to just input data quickly. If you want to have the model calculate it for you, this is a good way to do it. And I'll walk you through that in a different video. So for now, let's just go to user-defined. Next on our list, let's go down to analysis options. This seems like a crazy page, but really all you need to do to set up a quick and dirty model is change your end analysis to 1 day from now. So you can see right here, I have 1 day of analysis. Now, one other thing we should probably take a quick peek at and we'll come back to is the storm selection tab at the top. Now you can see this is kind of blank. There's nothing in here yet. We haven't defined a storm, but we'll come back to that in a few minutes. Moving down our list, let's make a subbasin. So I go to my subbasins. Oh, there's no subbasin in here. So to make a subbasin, click on this little green subbasin tab at the top. Physically draw one in here. And this is already generated for me an area. Now, how did it come up with that area? There's actually a coordinate system within this program, which is pretty snazzy because in a future video, I'm going to show you how to bring in subbasins from AutoCAD or GIS that you can use and are going to be located in the right position. For now, since we're not really trying to use the coordinate system, I'm just going to change this number to 10 acres. For time of concentration, I'm going to throw in 10 minutes. Now again, I could calculate this if I had used a different option in the project options, but for now, I'm just going to input a value. For curve number, come in here. Now this little tab lets you pick a lot of different curve numbers. You're generally going to be somewhere between 98 for like a paved parking lot, or you can go all the way down to like a forest condition. I think in the range of 30 to 40 in here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Here we go. Woods, anywhere good woods and a type A soil can give you a 30. Now that's going to give you almost zero runoff. So typically you're probably going to be in the range of 70 to 98 is where I would probably put you. Say you're probably going to be. Now you can also just input this number manually, which is what I'm going to do. Or if you would have clicked this value, it automatically drops in the soil group and the description, which is pretty handy. One other thing we should look at is the rain gauge ID. So see up here, we're not connected to a rain gauge because we haven't created one yet, but eventually this subbasin will be connected to a specific rain gauge. So that's next on our list. Let's look at the rain gauge piece. Now this is the one that the dialog box that I would say is a little bit counterintuitive. So first what we need to do is add a rain gauge. I'm going to call this Clark County. And then it's telling us to look for a time series, which we don't have one. So right here, I'm going to click this little 3-dotted line, and that's going to bring up time series plot. Again, we're blank. Very top right, this is where we add data to our time series. So I've just made a time series, but again, there's no data in here. So we can either copy and paste data with time, date, and then time, and then the value of our intensity or our cumulative runoff or rainfall. Or we can click on the standard rainfall designer, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to make a 100-year storm event And you can actually look based on state or your county, and it will actually look up rainfall depths for you, which is pretty handy. So see if I change this value, it's going to change the numbers on this chart. And you want to make sure that this is correct, this type 1 24-hour event. Most of the country is type 2, so make sure you check where that is. Here's a pretty good map of where we are. So I'm up in this area where I'm type 1A. You can see most of the country is type 2. There's a few spots that are type 3 storm events. One other thing you should definitely check is your rainfall depth. So, for example, this is Clark County. That default said 4.3, but really the only area that's 4.3 would be kind of between this 4.5 and 4.0 contour right through here. Now, if I'm in this area, I'm going to be at 4. If I'm all the way out here, if I'm doing work in your Colt, between 6.5 and 7. Now I got my rainfall in here. Click OK. Got my 100-year event. One pretty snazzy button you can click right here is assign, which you can assign all of the rain gauges to all subbasins. Now, if you have a lot of subbasins, this can save you some time. You don't have to go through manually and do it yourself each time. Now I'm going to go to my storm selection. Now this is actually that tab that I showed you before from the analysis options. I'm going to go into this one. Now that I have a rain gauge in here, I can select which rain gauge I'm going to run for this. Now I can have it use the assigned rain gauge that I already have on here, or I can just click on this use rainfall time series, and that's going to run the whole project with this one rainfall time series, which I think is often your best choice. The last thing we need to do is define an outfall. Where does our water run to? You need to do this for any project that you run. I'm going to connect this to my outfall. And now, when I click the run button, it should work. Here we go, analysis summary. You can see we have 4.3 inches of precipitation. Only 1.7 of that actually ran off. And that's because we had a curve number of 72, which is not that high. I need to rerun this. Now 3.25 inches of that, so about 75% of that ran off, and it gave me a peak runoff of 8.3 CFS. Now if I want, I can click on the report, and it will generate this in an Excel table for me, which is pretty snazzy if you have a lot of data. Or we can go up here to our time series plot. You can compare rainfall and runoff over time.